Hey, so for this week working on the Katalyst project, I've been tasked with working for level design. I'm a little bit newer, like I talked about with Unity. Haven't really used this a whole lot, and so I come from more of an Unreal Engine background, how to organize those things into folders, related items for your worldview, like on this left hand side. I'm not really sure what the best way is and how to set up to organize that. So that's something mainly I'm going to be focusing on this week so that I'm able to have a much cleaner level just viewing the items from the list. I mean, with the way this game is set up for the level boxing, or sorry, white boxing, there's just so many different spots um, that have to place individual items. And the other thing I have on my to do list is splines, which will allow me to create walls a lot easier and not have a million cubes essentially, or have to name those individually. There are some parts that I have specifically named, which I'll show you in a bit. I've created some prefabs like the centerpiece right here. You can, if we go over there, you'll be able to see it, but right now it's exited out. This is the first part that I was working in though at the very beginning, where I was working at the tutorial. Still would like to talk about it a little bit. So the tutorial, the goal of this guy, you can see the walls creeping in from the other project because essentially this is getting scrapped, right? But at the very beginning here, we're thinking of a tutorial idea, and I realized later they already had a tutorial, but just thought of some cute dialogue that they'd be able to use. You know, these cats teaching you what's going on. You see what's going on. It's talking to you about where to go. You go up, you go down, you avoid these different things, and then eventually you would hit a wall, and one of the walls, then you would have to go side to side. And then this part right here, there's asteroids just be all covering your way. So this is where they would be shooting and creating space for them to be able to move through. And now, you know, they can shoot and then they hit something where they get like thrown around and they get scrambled and it changes the controls. And so the dialogue of that changing. So I was just kind of thinking about, hey, what's a cute way where we can make it make sense? The reason why these game mechanics are switching around, which is one of the core parts of the game, but then also give a little bit more personality to the characters so you identify with who you like the most. And then, you know, Turbo Cat, just kind of a fun little kid I made. He likes to shoot the guns. He was mad that I got taken away from him. These other people are happy that that's happening. But then they figure out, oh, okay, well, we don't want to get hit by asteroids too, because that will also make us switch around. That could be an interesting core mechanic where you get extra scrambles if that happens. And then they get out, they make it, huzzah, complete. So go to this other spot. That's the other level that I was working on. I don't really have a set plan of where in terms of progression. Probably near the beginning though. Not gonna be too crazy. This guy is my player icon just for the very beginning. So my goal this week is to work with a programming team to be able to get the, we really call it the repertory, um, something like that. See if I can find it real quick. Repository sounds right. Yeah, the repository for the coding, help get that imported and everything so I'm able to move the player around, how big generally we're expecting the ship size to be, how fast, what the scaling on that looks like. That'll give me a really, really good idea of how to adjust this whole section so I'm not having to constantly rescale this because, you know, this took me um, more time than I'd like to admit getting all this relayed from a paper map that I created, and this is just part of it. And one of the frustrating things about Unity, at least for me, I don't know if there's anybody changed this, is there's stuff over here. You just can't see it. It's out of view. It's, you know, too far away. But with Unreal Engine, I feel like you can even just see a little bit. It just renders better. So I don't know if there's a way to change render distance on this. Um, but I'll post a photo of what the paper maps look like as well, just for that proof, so you can see a little bit better on what the vision is between those. Let's go from a high view real quick, and then we'll go through it by the side. So from a high view, you start out in this place. your ship that goes in the center into this space debris where the ship has crashed and exploded to these different bits. And you're trying to hide from an asteroid shower and getting through the ship. And as you get through the ship, there's dogs that are hiding and they're trying to jump on you, and then ships also that are chasing you inside, piloted by dogs. You have some areas that you can go into that'll block you. This is a very general block at the size of the ship. There will be some other things inside here, other blocks, other paths to choose from, but this is like the main core component. And then you come in here, you have two choices. You go left, you go right, or again, you go to another dead end there. Let's just go left for this one. Once you come through here, you're at this dead end, and either way is not where you're supposed to go. So the only way is up. So then the other paper map that I'm working on creating right now, the second level to this, the second story is more accurate for it. You're able to go up and then you continue going through. And there's another little section as well that you're able to go through. The other thing I wanted to mention on this part is the place that we just went through overall. That will have other windows that you can go between to go to the first story, second story. So you're able to weave and kind of choose more of your path. These different parts right here that you see, once you go up and above, then there's some piping that you'll go into. And these piping just will intercross in all sorts of different ways, ups, down, that you choose from. And so this is me just beginning that process. Oh my gosh, it just disappears. But yeah, so that'll give the player a lot more opportunity to choose from of where they want to go. Some will be dead ends, some will sneak into other similar paths. Ultimately, I want to make it where the player just has to make simply quick decisions to avoid crashing into a wall, but then it would be neat as well to have little teleportation fields where they go through one section, it flicks them back to near the beginning of the level, or flicks them forward, kind of like a Sheets and Ladders. Uh, you have, the dogs again also chasing you, so maybe you go a certain way, try and shake them off, or you fake them out. There's a few different ways you're able to go through that, and then there'll be some guns and turrets to shoot that down. So that's the high level of some of the things I want to integrate into that level design. Gives the player a cool feeling of going through this broken spaceship, being chased, shooting things down, and then also just a high need for speed. I think some inspiration that I'd want to draw from is F-Zero, right? Just the very fast, cut corners, turn loose, get out of there. So I'll have to look at some levels for that. That's the so that's that for those two levels there. And then most of the other time I spent was making the paper maps, researching Unity, working with the lead design, and reading through a lot of the level design documents that they have to better understand what the vision is for the game, really capture the theme of what's going on.